Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. AM Jaishankar underlined challenges of excessive concentration of critical minerals and importance of de-risking supply chains as global leaders attend US-hosted critical minerals meet. Iran and the US confirmed crucial nuclear talks to be held in Muscat on Friday. Iran thanks Oman for hosting arrangements. Ukraine says trilateral peace talks with US, Russia to continue. Zelensky seeks firm security guarantees. Seychelles President Dr. Patrick Armenia arrives in Chennai for his first state visit to India, marks 50 years of diplomatic ties. And India storms into sixth consecutive Under-19 Cricket World Cup final, set up title clash with England. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar spoke at the Critical Minerals Ministerial meet in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, stressing the need to secure and diversify global supply chains for critical minerals. Jaishankar underlined the challenges of excessive concentration and the importance of de-risking supply chains through structured international cooperation. He highlighted India's efforts towards greater resilience through initiatives including National Critical Minerals Mission, Rare Earth Corridors and Responsible Commerce. Dr. Jaishankar also conveyed India's support for the FORGE initiative aimed at strengthening cooperation on critical minerals and ensuring reliable, sustainable supply chains essential for future technologies. FORGE is a US-led international trade bloc designed to secure critical minerals and reduce reliance on China.
It was a very good discussion. Critical minerals is a very important subject. The US has been a partner for some years. Today they launched a new initiative called FORGE, which we have supported. It's a kind of successor to the Mineral Security Partnership. So I think overall, to me it was a good meeting, very productive, very outcome-oriented, very business-like.
On the sidelines of the meeting, External Affairs Minister met Canadian counterpart Anita Anand. Two leaders talked about taking the ties forward. Dr. Jaishankar also met with Peru Foreign Minister Hugo de Zella. Both agreed to deepen the cooperation. Earlier on Tuesday, Dr. Jaishankar met his US counterpart Marco Rubio in Washington. The two leaders held wide-ranging conversations that covered bilateral cooperation agenda, regional and global issues. Facets of India-US strategic partnership discussed were also including trade, energy, nuclear, defense, critical minerals and technology.
Well, we did yesterday a fairly detailed review of our bilateral cooperation. So, it's natural when foreign ministers meet that you discuss what's the diplomatic agenda, also the calendar, what do we expect each one of us to do this year together. So a lot of our discussion was devoted to that, the bilateral side. But again, foreign ministers meet, we talk our business, it's Indo-Pacific, it was what was happening in West Asia, Middle East, Gaza, etc., Ukraine conflict. So there was a kind of a global review, also what was happening in the Western Hemisphere. So in a sense, we discussed the world, we discussed our relationship, and it was a very open, sort of forthcoming conversation. It normally is.
NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang lauded an announcement made by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in the Union budget on providing a tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign companies using data centers built in the country. Jensen Huang said the AI infrastructure such as data centers can recreate the incredible scale of jobs that the internet created when it reached the Indian market.
India not only welcome data center companies to India, but also build data centers in India by Indian companies. And both of those are necessary. With respect to data centers, the actual building of the data center is maybe 5,000 people, 10,000 people. And there are electricians and plumbers and construction. But don't forget, the derivative workforce, the labor that contributes to ultimately delivering that data center is really quite gigantic. Look at the internet of India. The amount of jobs that has created upstream as well as downstream as a result of the internet, incredible. Same thing. Artificial intelligence will do exactly the same thing.
Shifting focus now, Prime Minister Modi will pay an official visit to Malaysia from 7th and 8th February this year. PM Modi's Malaysia visit is taking place at the invitation of Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim. This would be the third visit of Prime Minister to Malaysia. During the visit, Prime Minister will hold bilateral discussion with Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Prime Minister will also interact with members of the Indian community as well as industry and business representatives. The 10th India-Malaysia CEO Forum is also scheduled to be held, coinciding with the visit of Prime Minister. India and Malaysia share long-standing bonds of friendship based on historical, civilizational and cultural connections. The relationship is further strengthened by the presence of 2.9 million strong Indian diaspora in Malaysia, the third largest in the world. India-Malaysia relationship is multifaceted and growing. The forthcoming visit of Prime Minister serves as an opportunity for both leaders to review the entire gamut of bilateral cooperation. Updates from Parliament now. The Lok Sabha or the lower house was adjourned in dramatic and unusual circumstances Wednesday evening, minutes before Prime Minister Modi was scheduled to reply to the debate on the President's address. Repeated disruptions were witnessed by the opposition over a variety of issues, due to which the House was adjourned twice to finally meet at 5 p.m. But due to continued sloganeering by the opposition, Lok Sabha was adjourned till 11 a.m. Thursday. Apart from this, a general discussion on the union budget for 2026-27 is listed for today in Lok Sabha. Talking about Rajya Sabha or the upper house of the Parliament, further discussions on the motion of thanks on the President's address is listed for today. Meanwhile, PM Modi is likely to speak in the Rajya Sabha today. The lower house on Wednesday managed to transact little business so far, with Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal apprising the MPs of India-US Trade Framework Agreement. He assured the House that India has successfully safeguarded the interest of sensitive sectors, particularly agriculture and dairy, while ensuring significant benefits for Indian exporters. Take a look.
India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, delivered a statement in Parliament on India-US Trade Framework Agreement, the details of which are being finalized. The minister assured Parliament on Wednesday that the Indian side has successfully safeguarded the nation's interests related to sensitive sectors, especially agriculture and dairy.
कृषि क्षेत्र में भारत की प्रमुख संवेदनशीलता को पूर्णतः ध्यान रखा गया है। साथ ही यह साझेदारी लघु एवं मध्यम उद्यमों, एमएसएमईज, उद्यमियों, कुशल श्रमिकों और उद्योग के लिए नए अवसर खोलेगी।
Minister further said that the India and US understanding aligns with India's vision of Make in India, Design in India and Innovate in India for the world, and is a significant step towards Viksit Bharat 2047 and Atmanirbhar Bharat. On energy imports, Piyush Goyal reiterated that ensuring energy security for 140 crore Indians remains the government's top priority. He said diversifying energy sources is central to India's strategy as the country moves towards becoming a developed nation. Piyush Goyal also informed the members of parliament that both sides will work together to conclude the technical details and paperwork, and detailed contours of which will be announced after all procedures are completed.
मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, जैसा कि सरकार ने कई बार सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ऊर्जा आवश्यकताओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना सरकार की सर्वोत्तम प्राथमिकता है। वस्तुनिष्ठ बाजार स्थितियों और बदलते अंतर्राष्ट्रीय परिदृश्यों के अनुरूप ऊर्जा स्रोतों में विविधता लाना हमारी इस कार्यनीति का मूल आधार है। भारत की सभी कार्रवाइयां इसी बात को ध्यान में रखकर की जाती हैं। अतः मैं माननीय सदस्यों से इन मुद्दों को समुचित दृष्टिकोण से देखने का आग्रह करता हूं।
Reduction of US tariffs to 18% has been the biggest takeaway so far from the developments which took place on Monday following a phone call made by US President Donald Trump to Prime Minister Modi. Bureau Report, DD India.
And commemorating 50 years of long-standing and multifaceted India-Seychelles bilateral ties, President of Seychelles, Dr. Patrick Armenia, arrived in Chennai, capital and largest city of the southern state of Tamil Nadu. This is President Armenia's first visit to India since assuming office last October. The visit coincides with the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries. During his visit to India, President Armenia will meet President Draupadi Murmu and hold discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. Now, Seychelles is a key maritime neighbour for India in the Indian Ocean region and holds a special place in India's Vision Mahasagar and our commitment to the Global South. The visit of President Armenia to India following the visit of the Vice President of India to Seychelles in October 2025 is expected to lend further momentum to wide-ranging cooperation and robust people-to-people ties between the two countries. Now, India's Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan met with many dignitaries during his Armenia visit. CDS General Anil Chauhan led the Indian delegation for a courtesy call on Karen Brutian, Deputy Minister of Defence of the Republic of Armenia. The interaction underscored the commitment for strengthening bilateral defence cooperation and advancing strategic collaboration across key security and regional domains of mutual interest between both the nations. General Chauhan also interacted with the Minister of High-Tech Industry of Republic of Armenia, Makhtiyar Haryapetyan. Earlier, General Chauhan interacted with the Prime Minister of Republic of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, exchanging views on the evolving geopolitical landscape and prevailing security environment. The discussions also highlighted emerging opportunities for collaboration and avenues to further strengthen bilateral defence and strategic cooperation. Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Many killed in deadly gunmen attacks across central and northern Nigeria as security forces search for survivors. World's first AI tracks icebergs from birth to melt, revealing hidden climate impact. And orchids take over New York City streetscape in vibrant new botanical garden exhibition.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
DD India's Akshay Dongre has been tracking this story. He joins us on the broadcast. Hi Akshay, the US and Iran have now agreed to talks in Oman. Tell us, what are the realistic expectations from this round of talks?
Well, as both sides still do not agree on what has to be discussed, with the US calling all the major topics on the table, including the nuclear deal with the US. That is priority number one. The second one is the missile development program of Iranian government. That is a major threat not only to the US but to the regional US allies as well. And perhaps that's the only reason why US has not been able to so far launch any kind of a massive attack like it did, or do some sort of a regime change like it did in Venezuela, because of the very robust, extremely powerful missile arsenal that Iran has, and the missile development program that it has been working on for decades now, and has seen major strides and major successes, with several high-powered missiles now being in Iran's arsenal that can actually lead to any conflict, into not just a local conflict but a regional conflict, engulfing all of the West Asian region. And the third one is the support to what the US calls terror groups, including the groups like Hezbollah or Hamas. Financial support, and other kind of support, equipment-based support. And all of these three things are according to the US priorities. However, Iran says that as far as talks are concerned, there have been calls that the talks should happen on the US the nuclear program, and it should just be restricted to the nuclear program. However, it remains to be seen that whether the two sides will agree on that or not, and how the talks proceed. But now both the sides have agreed to hold talks in Oman, and it seems that the earlier threats that were coming in from the US have not worked so far as the Iranian regime is concerned.
Also, Akshay, there was confusion earlier over the venue, with Istanbul initially mentioned. What does this shift to Muscat tell us about the back-channel diplomacy which is underway?
Well, if we look at the other countries that often act as mediators, are also major players as far as these kind of conflicts are concerned, because they are the negotiators, they are the middlemen. They actually act as buffer between warring factions, and like Qatar did when there was conflict, at an all-time high between Hamas and Israel. It was acting as a negotiator. It was acting as a third party that can come in and speak for both the sides and speak to both the sides, but also safety concerns remain, because the Iranian regime has seen what happened to Venezuela, to Maduro. But they are quite skeptical about trusting even the regional allies as far as the countries there are concerned, because most of them have American bases, most of them have the strong American military backing. So as far as the back channel talks are concerned, they're always going on before such an important round of talks that are going to take place, and also the change of venue shows that both the sides are being extremely picky and extremely sensitive about where the venue takes, where is the venue, how the talks take place, on what topics the talks take place, and so on. So it's quite a sensitive issue for both of them at this point in time.
Absolutely, and all eyes will be on Friday when Iran and US hold talks which will take place in Oman. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs, Akshay. Moving on, multiple Los Angeles officials have called on 2028 Olympics chief Casey Wasserman to step down after the latest batch of files in the Jeffrey Epstein case revealed racy emails between the sports executive and the disgraced financier's girlfriend. Wasserman apologized after emails with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of helping Epstein dating back to 2003, surfaced in recently released Justice Department documents. He expressed regret for the correspondence which occurred before Maxwell's crimes were known, and emphasized he had no personal or business relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Though not accused of wrongdoing, local officials have called for his resignation from the 2028 Olympics post due to the tenuous link to Epstein. Bill Gates' name has also surfaced in the newly released Epstein files, and he has expressed regret over any time spent with Jeffrey Epstein. The revelations follow the publication of new documents in which Epstein alleged that Gates was involved in extramarital affairs and other illicit activities. Gates denied the claims, stating the draft email was never sent and calling its contents false. While Gates' spokesperson denied Epstein's allegations, saying the newly released documents show only Epstein's attempts to entrap and defame Gates, not any wrongdoing. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Wednesday said he regretted naming Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US following fresh allegations about the disgraced envoy's close ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Starmer has accused Mandelson of repeatedly failing to disclose the full extent of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein during vetting for a Washington role. Following opposition pressure, the government agreed to provide all related documents to Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee. Emails suggest Mandelson had close ties to Epstein and may have shared confidential information, prompting a UK police investigation.
Mandelson betrayed our country, our Parliament and my party. Mr. Speaker, he lied repeatedly to my team when asked about his relationship with Epstein before and during his tenure as ambassador. I regret appointing him. If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary, with my support, took the decision to refer material to the police, and there is now a criminal investigation. I've instructed my team to draft legislation to strip Mandelson of his title and wider legislation to remove disgraced peers.
Now, Britain's former Prince Andrew has moved to a remote country estate after leaving his longtime home following renewed controversy over his connections with Jeffrey Epstein. King Charles III's younger brother is under intense pressure to explain his close ties to Epstein after the US Justice Department released a new batch of documents. Andrew, who denies any wrongdoing, was quietly removed from his Windsor mansion amid concerns for the royal family. The reports include allegations that the second alleged Epstein victim was brought to Britain in 2010, along with a lawyer's letter mentioning $250,000 payment to a former exotic dancer. Moving on, nearly 200 people have been killed by armed men in separate attacks in remote villages in central and northern Nigeria as security forces searched for survivors and chased the attackers. In central Kwara State, gunmen attacked Voro community, leaving at least 170 people dead. Several people were still missing on Wednesday morning. In a separate attack in northern Katsina State, gunmen killed at least 25 people. Freshly dug graves lined the community on Wednesday as families gathered to bury the dead. The attack came 5 months after villagers reached an informal deal with the gunmen not to target the area. These deals, where communities trade money or food for protection, are now common but frequently fail, leaving residents vulnerable. Nigeria's defense minister has repeatedly warned state governments against negotiating with armed groups, arguing they cannot be trusted to honor commitments. A world-first artificial intelligence tool has been developed to track icebergs from the moment they break away, helping scientists better understand their hidden impact on climate change. Created by the British Antarctic Survey, the artificial intelligence system uses satellite images to automatically identify and name icebergs as they carve from glaciers. It follows their journey as they fragment into smaller pieces and gradually melt, releasing vast amounts of fresh water into the oceans. This breakthrough fills a long-standing gap in climate research and may also help improve safety for ships navigating iceberg-filled polar waters. At the New York Botanical Garden in the Bronx, thousands of orchids in vibrant colors are on display in a new exhibition inspired by city life. The Orchid Show, Mr. Flower Fantastic's concrete jungle transforms the Enid A. Hopper Conservatory into a floral take on New York's urban landscape. The exhibition runs from February 7th through April 26th. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Bangladesh election campaign heats up amid defections, fraud allegations and fiery rhetoric. And from Thursday until February 11, visitors can pay their respects to the sacred relics at the historic Gangaramaya temple, open 24 hours a day. Magh Mela nears end as pilgrims depart and tent city dismantle ahead of Mahashivratri.
Food systems contribute to a third of global planet warming emission. In today's episode, let's take a look at what happens when food systems stop working for everyone.
After Hatibandhu arrived, we discussed as a village the challenge that we were facing. And we came to the conclusion that we should sow some crops, especially for the elephants.
The Meramok Cafe is basically promoting the circular economy. So there's not much transportation involved in that process. So this is one way that we are reducing the carbon emission from that point of view.
Is probably laughing because despite the fact that they're cleaning up other people's problems for free, it seems like nobody here actually wants them to be doing it.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of our top stories. AM IST Jaishankar underlines challenges of excessive concentration of critical minerals and importance of de-risking supply chains as global leaders attend US-hosted critical minerals meet. Iran and the US confirm crucial nuclear talks to be held in Muscat on Friday. Iran thanks Oman for hosting the arrangements. Ukraine says trilateral peace talks with US, Russia to continue. Zelensky seeks firm security guarantees. Seychelles President Dr. Patrick Armenia to visit India on state visit marks 50 years of diplomatic ties. And India storms into 6th consecutive Under-19 Cricket World Cup finals, sets up title clash with England. Bangladesh's election campaign has heated up amid cross-party campaigning, allegations of vote manipulation and sharp political rhetoric across the country. In Madaripur, at least 20 Awami League leaders and activists openly campaigned for BNP candidate Nadira Akhtar, seeking votes for the BNP. The AL leaders claimed they were acting on instructions from former Chief Whip Noor Alam Chaudhry Litton. In Lakshmipur, police filed a case over the manufacture of fake ballot seals, accusing a Jamaat-e-Islami ward leader and a printer. BNP alleged a wider conspiracy to rig the polls, while Jamaat later expelled the accused leader. At a rally in Barishal, BNP chairman Tariq Rahman accused rivals of election fraud, warned against new tyrants and urged voters to cast ballots on February 12th. Meanwhile, Jamaat-e-Islami released its manifesto promising democratic reforms, women's participation, youth leadership and constitutional changes. All right, DD India's Naval Singh Parmar joins us on the phone line from Dhaka. Naval Singh, how would you describe the overall atmosphere of the election campaigns as polling day approaches?
There are few days left for the polling for the Bangladesh national election, 13th national election, as well as the referendum. And the political atmosphere here in Bangladesh is highly charged up as the BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and its rival Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh are fighting neck to neck to win the very crucial election. However, in the absence of Awami League, there is a bipolar contest between the Jamaat-e-Islami and the BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. There are concerns regarding the law and order situation, as the many organizations, human rights organizations also raised the concern that the political violence has increased in Bangladesh in the last few months, and as Bangladesh is having a history of political violence during the poll time, and the vulnerable section of the society, particularly the women, minorities, and the other sections are living in fear. On many places, people are saying that we don't want to say anything, we don't want anything from the government, we just want a peace and security. So this kind of atmosphere is there in Bangladesh, particularly in countrysides. that the law and order situation is very fragile.
Also, Nawal Singh, with allegations and counter-allegations continuing, how are election authorities addressing concerns related to transparency and fairness?
Well, BNP time and again raised the concern that the administration, Yunus administration, is taking side of the her opponents, Jamaat-e-Islami, and they are raising allegations that the many officials who are on key position for the upcoming election are biased towards their opponents. At the same time, sometimes Jamaat-e-Islami also raise issues of the tilting toward the BNP party against some of the officers. So this kind of allegation and counter allegation is going on, but it's apparent from the field here that the administration is taking not directly the sides of Jamaat-e-Islami, but they are using their call to give a direction to the referendum for yes. So in totality, it will create favorable atmosphere for the Jamaat-e-Islami. So administration, there were a meeting with the election commission and the BNP raised issues that the election commission and the officials of the government, interim government, can't take any sides in referendum because they can't pursue voters for the yes or no. They can pursue voters to vote, but they can't pursue for any particular choice. So this kind of allegations are there against the state administration, Yunus administration.
Yes, just a few days left for the elections to happen. That is on February 12th. Thank you for the time being, Nawal Singh, but we'll keep taking updates from you. Moving on, the 13th edition of the joint military exercise Khanjar between India and Kyrgyzstan began at Mishamari in Assam on Wednesday. The 14-day exercise aims to exchange best practices and experiences in counter-terrorism and special forces operations in urban and mountainous terrain. The exercise will also focus on developing advanced special forces skills of sniping, complex building intervention and mountain craft. The annual training event will provide an opportunity for both sides to fortify defence ties while addressing common concerns of international terrorism and extremism. The exercise reaffirms the commitment of India and Kyrgyzstan towards fostering peace, stability and security in the region. Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake inaugurated the public exposition in Colombo of the sacred Devinimori relics of Lord Buddha brought from Gujarat. The relics arrived at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Colombo from Gujarat via Delhi and were later taken in a special motorcade to the Hunupitiya Gangaramaya temple following religious observances. The public will be able to venerate the sacred relics round the clock at the historic Gangaramaya temple from Thursday until February 11. The exposition coincides with Sri Lanka's 78th Independence Day, which was marked on Wednesday. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasurya thanked the Government of India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi for facilitating the exposition, calling it a blessing for the people of Sri Lanka.
Witnessing these relics, that's a huge honor and a tremendous opportunity for our people. So I really appreciate this gesture by the Indian government, by Prime Minister Modi, for taking these relics out for the first time to Sri Lanka and giving this opportunity to us.
Now, in an unfortunate news from Delhi NCR, 3 minor sisters died after allegedly jumping from a 9th floor flat in Ghaziabad early Wednesday, with police probing possible links to mobile phone addiction and an online Korean game.
Three minor sisters died after allegedly jumping from the 9th floor of a residential high-rise in Ghaziabad early Wednesday. The girls were declared dead on arrival at a hospital in Loni.
ये कोरियन कल्चर से इन्फ्लुएंस थी और मोबाइल का ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल करती थी। घर वालों ने पिछले कुछ दिनों से उनको मोबाइल यूज़ करने से मना किया था और उसी के चलते वो थोड़ी परेशान थी और उन्होंने ये डिसीजन इसी के चलते ले लिया।
According to the police, the sisters were addicted to an online app or game, which they described as a Korean task-based love game.
बेटी थी मेरी, किस वजह से उन्होंने सुसाइड किया? ये उन्होंने गेमिंग के चक्कर में कराई है। वो कह रही थी मैं कोरिया जाना है। मैं वो बाहर वाले रूम में सो रहा था, मेरी वाइफ अंदर वाले रूम में सो रही थी और उन्होंने यहाँ से आके पानी पीने के बहाने जंप लगा दिया, अंदर से लोग लगा लिया था।
The game reportedly assigns daily tasks to users, presented as part of a virtual emotional relationship. According to mental health experts, such games encourage prolonged engagement, often leading to addiction.
But in these gaming disorder people who are addicted to this games and online games, they get their dopamine activated, which is a hormone called happy hormone, through this gaming only. So, but this gaming exactly, one would say, literally is like the chemical addiction that I said earlier. So such things which once they continue, they feel that they have reached to a level, they get rewards, they go on to win certain levels, and this reinforces their behavior, which is called operant conditioning.
The founder of a startup called Trumzy, which focuses on reducing screen time among children through gamified challenges, said online games can blur the line between reality and fiction, especially for children and teenagers.
In the virtual world, right? Today, if you look at it, we live two lives. We live a life in our physical manifestation and we live a life in our virtual manifestation. Believe it or not, we think these two lives are congruent, but studies have revealed that with today's generation, especially people who are born after 2007, they're two distinct identities.
The 2025-26 Economic Survey, tabled recently in Parliament, has identified digital addiction as a rising problem, impacting the mental health of both children and adults. The survey has called for educating families and encouraged them to promote screen time limits, device-free hours, and shared offline activities.
Weather updates now. The India Met Department has issued today's forecast and warnings with rain, snowfall, dense fog and cool conditions affecting several regions. Here are the key weather updates for February 5th, and we forecast isolated to scattered rainfall and snowfall is likely today over Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan and Muzaffarabad. Other parts of the western Himalayas remain under close watch. Meanwhile, no major change is expected in minimum temperatures over northwest India except Uttar Pradesh, where a gradual fall has begun. Central and East India may see a slight dip in temperatures over the next 24 to 48 hours. Dense to very dense fog observed during early morning and night hours at isolated places over Uttar Pradesh. Dense fog is also experienced over Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Bihar, Jharkhand and sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim. Isolated ground frost also experienced over parts of Uttarakhand. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. In southern India's Kerala, state farmers in the Kalupara Eravipar region of Pathanamthitta organized a seed fair to revive traditional crops that are fast disappearing. The event showcased rare local vegetables, spices and yams, including the Rudraksh plavin, a unique jackfruit variety whose seeds resemble Rudraksh beets. The fair was part of a broader effort to preserve local biodiversity while reconnecting communities with the region's agricultural heritage. The ongoing Magh Mela is drawing to a close with pilgrims including Kalpavasis who observe a disciplined and austere stay at the holy site for a prescribed spiritual period beginning to depart. Authorities are dismantling the vast tent city and temporary stalls also preparing to leave. The Magh Mela is scheduled to conclude on February 15, culminating with the final holy dip on the occasion of Mahashivratri. Alright, still to come on this edition of DD India NewsHour. Google parent Alphabet forecast sharp surge in 2026. Manchester City completes 5-1 aggregate win over holders Newcastle to set up Carabao Cup fun against Arsenal. A rare giant phantom jellyfish spotted during deep-sea expedition off Argentina's coast.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Business updates now. MSCI's global equities gauge lost ground on Wednesday, with technology stocks leading losses on Wall Street, while the dollar rose against Japan's yen and silver outperformed gold following their recent plunge. Oil prices rose sharply for a second consecutive day as the US and Iran appeared to disagree on some elements of their plan for nuclear talks. Crude prices had already spiked on Tuesday. The S&P 500 value index finished up 0.9%, while the growth index ended down 1.8%. The Dow Jones Industrial averaged 260.31 points. The dollar index, which measures the greenback against a basket of currencies including the yen and the euro. Against the Japanese yen, the dollar strengthened 0.76% to 157. And Google parent Alphabet claimed that it was targeting capital expenditure of $175 billion to $185 billion this year in yet another aggressive ramp-up in spending from the Google parent as it deepens its investments to push ahead in the AI race. Shares of the company fell more than 6% in extended trading. Revenue at Google Cloud grew 48% to $17.7 billion in the fourth quarter ended December, compared with analyst average estimate of a 35.2% jump. Along with Meta, the three cloud companies are expected to collectively shell out more than $500 billion on AI this year. Meta last week hiked its capital investment for AI development this year by 73%, targeting spending between $115 billion and $135 billion, while Microsoft also reported record quarterly capital expenditure. The Washington Post, owned by billionaire Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, announced major job cuts, calling the move a painful but necessary restructuring to secure its future amid financial pressures. Executive editor Matt Murray said the newsroom will see substantial reductions as the media economy changes rapidly, driven by low-cost digital creators, AI-generated content, and declining traditional revenue. The cuts come as U.S. media outlets face mounting pressure, including criticism and lawsuits from President Donald Trump. Murray said the Post structure remains rooted in a print-era model and needs to adapt to reach a broader audience. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. The Indian men's under-19 cricket team marched into their sixth consecutive World Cup finals after securing a commanding 7-wicket win over Afghanistan in the second semi-final of ICC Under-19 World Cup in Harare on Wednesday. Aaron George's sensational 100 helped India chase down the target of 311 in 41.1 overs. Captain Ayush Matre also contributed with a vital 62. The foundation for the chase was laid by Vaibhav Suryavanshi, whose explosive 68 provided India with a blistering start. Afghanistan also batted well as they posted 310 for 4 in 50 overs, powered by centuries from Faisal Shenozada and Uzairullah Niazai. India, eyeing their sixth under-19 crown, will battle against the only other unbeaten team, England, in the final on Friday. And Royal Challengers Bengaluru will take on Delhi Capitals in the exciting final of the Women's Premier League 2026 on Thursday. Vadodara's BCA Stadium will host the biggest fixture of the competition as three-time runners-up Delhi eye maiden WPL title against former champions RCB. Led by Smriti Mandhana, RCB enjoyed a dominant run, registering 6 wins in their 8 games to advance to the final. The Capitals joined RCB at a summit clash after a magnificent performance against Gujarat Giants in the eliminator. The upcoming finale will be the second time that RCB and DC battle out the title clash in WPL history. The fierce rivals had taken on each other in the finals of 2024 edition of the league in Delhi, where RCB pulled off a dominant victory by 8 wickets. And India wrapped up 30 runs victory over South Africa in their second T20 World Cup warm-up fixture on Wednesday in Navi Mumbai. Batting first, Ishan Kishan, Tilak Verma and cameos from skippers Suryakumar Yadav and Hardik Pandya powered India to 240 runs in their 20 overs. Defending 241, India restricted South Africa to 210 for 7 courtesy of Abhishek Sharma's 2 wickets. India will face USA in their opening encounter on Saturday. The men in blue are the defending champions, having beaten South Africa in 2024 World Cup final in West Indies. They aim to clinch the title for a record 3rd time. Football now. Manchester City completed a 5-1 aggregated win over Newcastle United to storm into Carabao Cup final on Wednesday. Already 2-0 up on aggregate after first leg win at St James Park, the Blues dismantled the Magpies in the first half with a superb display of attacking football. Omar Marmoush grabbed a brace and Tejani Reijnders added a third as City opened up a 3-0 lead inside 32 minutes at the Etihad. Newcastle pulled one back just past the hour mark, but it was too little too late as City recorded a resounding 5-1 scoreline. For the 2 matches, they face Arsenal now in the title clash. Now, Italy says it has foiled a series of cyber attacks targeting the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics just hours before the opening ceremony. Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani said the attacks hit around 120 websites, including Italy's embassy in Washington and several sites linked to the Winter Games. Among the targets were hotel websites in Cortina d'Ampezzo, one of the host towns for the February 6th to 22nd Olympics. Italian authorities say the attacks were quickly detected and effectively neutralized, though access to at least one hotel website remained blocked on Wednesday. A Russian hacker group claimed responsibility, saying it launched distributed denial of service or DDoS attacks designed to overwhelm servers and shut websites down. The International Olympic Committee declined to comment, citing its policy of not discussing security matters. Italy says heightened cybersecurity measures remain in place as the Games get underway. Scientists on a deep-sea expedition along Argentina's coastline have documented a rare giant phantom jellyfish. Rare species can grow up to 1 meter wide with 4 arms stretching up to 10 meters, which it uses to capture prey without stinging tentacles. Let's take a look. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.